Hi, this is Joe Haney. I thought I'd make a little video explaining why I'm donating one of my kidneys to a stranger. The story for me starts back in 2020 when one of our children donated his kidney to my nephew, to his cousin. And our daughter was the backup for that. And that moved me. I didn't even think to apply at the time because I thought I was too old. I'm 65 years old now, and it just didn't cross my mind that that was possible, that I was a candidate. And then last fall, I was listening to a Freakonomics podcast about donating kidneys, something called a non-directed donor. And the guy talking about it was 65 years old, and I thought, hey, I'm coming up 65, maybe I could do that. And looked further into it and decided that that is something I am going to do. I'm scheduled now for September 10th for a surgery that's 2024. We have a fundamental problem in our country and all over the world. 37 million people are estimated in the US alone to have some stage of kidney disease. And there are almost 810,000 people in 2023 that were in end-stage kidney failure, meaning that their two kidneys are insufficient to keep them alive without some sort of intervention. And of those people, 56,000 of them died last year because of kidney failure. But we have an opportunity to help those people. There's some remarkable technology called dialysis that helps them. It's truly a miracle. But one of the problems with dialysis is that it's not a long-term solution. Within 5 to 10 years, people on dialysis pass away. And it's a very difficult and painful process. It takes them typically 3 days a week, 4 hours at a time, where they're hooked up to a machine which is doing the work of their kidneys, processing their blood and taking the toxins out. The other alternative is to do a transplant. There are two opportunities there. One of them is a transplant of your organs after you've died. And many of you, I'm sure, have checked that box on your driver's license saying, yes, I want to donate my organs when I die. And that's amazing. In fact, 77%, I think, of the kidney transplants that took place last year in 2023 were from those donations. At any given time, there are about 100,000 people on the kidney transplant wait list, and that wait can be years, as it takes a long time for a kidney that matches your kidney to come up and be available. Last year, there were almost 23,000 transplants out of those 100,000 people waiting, and about 77% of them, 76-77%, were from deceased donors. About 6,300 people donated a live kidney, and the advantage of that is that those last a lot longer. A kidney from a deceased donor tends to last 10 years or so, whereas a kidney from a live donor historically has lasted maybe twice that, maybe 20 years. So that's ideal, and a lot of people who are on the kidney wait list are looking for people who could donate a kidney on their behalf. And I say on their behalf because many times you find a friend or a family who is not a match, a perfect match, and that can be problematic. Thankfully, there's an amazing system that has been set up by the National Kidney Registry to do matches nationally so that you can get an almost perfect match, or at least as best a match as you can. In the last few years, They've learned that the best way currently to figure out what is a good match is something called epaulette mismatch, and you're looking for the lowest possible number of mismatches of something called the epaulette. Of course, you have to have the same blood type, but beyond the blood type, there is an immuno response typically, unless you lower that epaulette mismatch. And historically, the way they dealt with the immunoresponse that would reject the kidneys is to give immune suppressant drugs. And that, of course, creates other problems, because then you can get sick from almost anything that comes along and die from something else. So ideally, you want to reduce the epaulette mismatch so you can have what the National Kidney Registry calls kidney for life. I mentioned that in 2023 there were almost 6,300 live donors, and most of those were people that were donating a kidney on behalf of someone that they know and love, a friend or a family member. But there were about 400, a little bit over 400, 407 donors that are called non-directed donors. And those are people who step forward and say, you know, I've got an extra kidney, let me donate that and help whoever can be helped. So it's not a big number. We wish it were bigger. After hearing about that, I decided that I would like to be one of those non-directed donors. And you might ask why. The first reason, of course, is because I have the ability to save somebody else's life with really not that big of an impact to me from my perspective. I have 2 functioning kidneys. I can live perfectly well with only one. Another one is because people I care about have been impacted by kidney disease. I had an aunt who was on dialysis for a long time and just finally said, I can't do this anymore. And she passed. And a good friend in our neighborhood went to his funeral recently, who also just couldn't endure the dialysis for that much longer. Kidney disease is a real thing, and you probably know someone in your life that you care about that's been impacted by it. One of the reasons I'm donating is that I have an extra kidney, but when they take one of mine, and that leaves me with just one kidney, that would create a potential risk. But I feel pretty good about that, because the National Kidney Registry and the Transplant Center give me the ability, and really any live donor, the ability to jump right to the top of the live donor priority list if they ever need a kidney. So that risk is mitigated. The other reason that I want to donate now is that the technology has gotten good enough. I mentioned the epaulette mismatch, but it's gotten good enough that you can match up people kind of from a pool of people from all the way across the nation. There was an economist named Al Roth, who actually won a Nobel Prize for setting up this system that lets us compare what the compatibilities are for people all the way across the country. The way that works is you can do paired exchanges. So if you have someone that you're trying to donate to, but you're not a match, and I have someone I'm trying to donate to, but we're not a match, but we're each other's match, then you can do that paired exchange, they call it. And sometimes it's not just two by two. You have to line up a whole chain of pairs to make that match. One of the things that can really make the difference is when you add into that chain of pairs an additional kidney from a non-directed donor, because that can open up a chain of donations. Heard of a chain of 70 donations that were done in one day. Another factor for me is that I am still not too old to donate. And while I haven't heard a specific age, there are rigorous physical tests that are done. And that to me was kind of a cool side benefit, is that I get a complete, thorough physical that assesses my health to be sure that I'm okay to be a donor, all for free. I mean, maybe it could have identified that I had cancer or something, I don't know. And that would have been good to learn as early as possible. In my case, it came out, the results were very good. I remember on the stress test, which they did for me because I'm over 60, and you get on that treadmill and you're pumping and working really hard and get your heartbeat really going, and then lay down and they do an ultrasound. And the tech that was doing it said, you know what, your heart's better than a lot of the 20-year-olds that are in here. And that gave me a lot of peace. It gave me a lot of satisfaction to have that understanding about where is my health and how am I doing. I'm doing this in the end because it has felt like the right thing to do. When I pondered it and researched it, and then looked inside myself and asked heaven if I should do this, I felt such a powerful feeling of peace and of gratitude for this, the ability to do this. And I have to say that has lasted for me. It's been several months now as I've been going through these tests and preparing, and I'm very grateful for that. And that's really the fundamental reason it feels right. However, I couldn't do this without the support of my wife, Linda, and that has been one of the miracles. She was pretty anxious when our son donated his kidney, but she's felt that same peace that I have about me donating, and she's been so supportive. I'm very grateful. And as we've shared that with each of our children, they've also expressed great support. So that fundamentally is why I've chosen to donate a kidney to a stranger. And I thought I'd share with you my reasons before we get going. Thanks.